The play is memory. Being a memory play, it is dimly lit, it is sentimental, it is not realistic. I am the narrator of the play and also a character in it. The other characters are my mother Amanda, my sister Laura, and a gentleman caller who appears in the final scenes. He is the most realistic character in the play, being an emissary from a world of reality that we were somehow set apart from. But since I have a poet's weakness for symbols, I am using this character also as a symbol. He is the long delayed, but always something that we hoped for. The idea of getting a gentleman caller for Laura began to play a more and more important part in Mother's calculations. It became an obsession, like some archetype of the universal unconscious. The image of the gentleman caller haunted our small apartment. An evening at home rarely passed without some allusion to this image, this specter, this hope. Even when he wasn't mentioned, his presence hung in Mother's preoccupied look, and in my sister's frightened apologetic. Mother was a woman of action as well as words. She began to take the logical steps in the planned direction. And so the following evening, I brought Jim home to dinner. I had known Jim slightly in high school. I knew that Jim and Laura had known each other at high school, and I had heard Laura speak admiringly of his voice. I didn't know if Jim remembered her or not. In high school, Laura had been as unobtrusive as Jim had been astonishing. If he did remember Laura, it was not as my sister. But when I asked him to dinner, he grinned and said, "You know, Shakespeare, I never thought of you as having folks." He was about to discover that I did.
Hello there, Laura.
Hello.
How are you feeling now? Better?
Yes, thank you.
This is for you. A little dandelion wine.
Thank you.
Drink it, but don't get drunk. Where shall I set the candle?
Oh, anywhere.
Well, how about on the floor? Any objections?
No.
I'll spread this newspaper under to catch the drippings. I like to sit on the floor. Mind if I do?
Oh, no.
Oh, hand me a pillow.
What?
Pillow.
Oh.
Well, how about you? Don't you like to sit on the floor?
Oh, yes.
Well, I know to then.
I will.
Take a pillow.
Oh.
I can't hardly see you sitting way over there.
I can see you.
I know, but that's not fair. I'm in the limelight. Good, now I can see you. Comfortable?
Yes.
So am I. Comfortable as a cow. Will you have some gum?
No, thank you.
I believe I will indulge, with your permission. Think of the fortune made by the guy who invented the first piece of chewing gum. Amazing, huh? The Wrigley Building is one of the sights of Chicago. I saw it summer before last when I took in the Century of Progress. Did you take in the Century of Progress?
No, I didn't.
Oh, well, it was quite a wonderful exposition. What impressed me most was the Hall of Science. Really gives you an idea of what the future will be in America. Even more wonderful than the present time is. Your brother tells me you're shy. Is that right, Laura?
I don't know.
Well, I judge you to be an old-fashioned type of girl. Well, I think that's a pretty good type to be. Hope you don't think I'm being too personal, do you?
I believe I will take a piece of gum, if you don't mind. Mr. O'Connor, have you kept up with your singing?
Singing? Me?
Oh, yes. I remember what a beautiful voice you had.
What? You say you've heard me sing?
Oh, yes. Quite often. I don't suppose you remember me at all.
I have an idea I've seen you before. I had that idea as soon as you opened the door. It seemed like I was about to remember your name, but the name I started to call you wasn't a name, and so I stopped myself before I said it.
Wasn't it Blue Roses?
Blue Roses. My gosh, yes! Blue Roses! That's what I had on my tongue when you opened the door. Gosh, isn't it funny what tricks your memory plays? I didn't connect you with high school somehow or other, but that's where it was. It was high school. I didn't even know you were Shakespeare's sister. Gosh, I'm sorry.
I didn't expect you to.
But we did have a speaking acquaintance, huh?
Yes, we spoke.
When did you recognize me?
Oh, right away.
As soon as I came in the door?
When I heard your name, I thought it was probably you. I knew that Tom used to know you a little in high school. So when you came in through the door, well, then I was sure.
Why didn't you say anything then?
I didn't know what to say. I was too surprised.
Gosh, you know, it sure is funny.
Yes, isn't it though?
Didn't we have a class together in something?
Yes, we did.
What class was that?
It was singing, chorus.
Oh.
I sat across the aisle from you in the odd.
Oh.
Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Now I remember. You always came in late.
Yes, it was so hard for me getting upstairs. I had that brace on my leg. It clumped so loudly.
I never heard any clumping.
To me, it sounded like thunder.
Well, I never even noticed.
And everyone was seated before I came in. My seat was in the back row. I had to go clumping all the way up the aisle, with everybody watching.
You shouldn't have been self-conscious.
I know, but I was. It was always such a relief when the singing started.
Ah, yes, I've placed you now. I used to call you Blue Roses. How was it that I started calling you that?
I was out of school a little while with pleurosis. When I came back, you asked me what was the matter. I said I had pleurosis. You thought I said blue roses. That's what you always called me after that.
I hope you didn't mind.
Oh no, I liked it. You see, I wasn't acquainted with many people.
As I remember, you sort of stuck by yourself.
Yes, I never had much luck at making friends.
I don't see why you wouldn't.
Well, I started out badly.
Oh, you mean being...
Yes, it sort of stood between me and...
Well, you shouldn't have let it.
I know, but I did, and...
You were shy with people?
Yeah, I tried not to be, but I never could.
Overcome it.
No, I never could.
I guess being shy is something you have to work out of, kind of gradually.
Yes, I guess it...
Takes time.
Yes.
People are not so dreadful when you know them, and that's what you have to remember. Everybody has problems, not just you, but practically everybody's got some problems. You think of yourself as being the only one having problems, as being the only one who is disappointed, but just look around you and you'll see a lot of people just as disappointed as you are. For instance, I hoped when I was going to high school that I would be further along at this time, 6 years later than I am now. Do you remember that wonderful write-up I had in the Torch?
Yes.
It said I was bound to succeed in anything I went into. Holy jeez, the Torch!
Here you are in the Pirates of Penzance.
I sang the baritone lead in that operetta.
Yes, beautifully, so beautifully.
Ah.
Yes, beautifully, beautifully.
You heard me?
All 3 times?
No.
Yes.
All 3 performances.
Yes.
Why?
I wanted to ask you to autograph my program.
Why didn't you ask me to?
You were always surrounded by your own friends, so much that I never had the chance to.
Gosh, you know, it sure is funny. Well, just give me that program, Laura. There you are. Better late than never.
Why, what a surprise!
Well, my signature isn't worth very much right now, but maybe, someday, it will increase in value. Being disappointed is one thing, and being discouraged is another. You know, I am disappointed, but I'm not discouraged.
I'll be 24 in June.
Well, that's not old age.
No, but
You finished high school.
I didn't go back.
You mean you dropped out?
I made bad grades in my final examinations. How is Emily Meisenbach getting along?
Oh, that crowdhead?
Why do you call her that?
Because that's what she was?
You aren't still going with her?
Yeah, I'd never see her.
It said in the personal section that you were engaged.
I know, but I was never really impressed with that propaganda.
It wasn't the truth?
Only in Emily's optimistic opinion.
Oh.
What have you done since high school? Huh? I said, what have you done since high school, Laura?
Nothing much.
Well, you must have been doing something these 6 long years.
Yes.
Well then, such as what?
I took a business course at business college.
How'd that go?
Well, not very well. I had to drop out. It gave me indigestion.
So what are you doing now?
I don't do anything much. Oh, please don't think I sit around doing nothing all day. My glass collection takes up a good deal of my time. Glass is something that you have to take good care of.
Wait, what'd you say? About glass?
Collection. I said I have one.
Well, you know what I judge to be the trouble with you? Inferiority complex. Do you know what that is? That's what they call it when someone low rates himself. I understand it because I had it too, although My case was not so aggravated as yours seems to be. I had it until I took up public speaking, developed my voice, and learned that I had an aptitude for science. Until that time, I never thought of myself as being outstanding in any way whatsoever. Now, I've never made a regular study of it, but I have a friend who says I can analyze people better than doctors that make a profession of it. Well, I don't claim that to be necessarily true, but I sure can guess a person's psychology, Laura. Excuse me, Laura. I always take it out when the flavor's gone. I'll just use that scrap of paper, wrap it up, and I know how it is to get it stuck to the bottom of your shoe. Yep, that's what I judge to be your principal trouble. A lack of confidence in yourself as a person. You don't have the proper amount of faith in yourself. I'm basing that fact on a number of your remarks and also on an observation I've made. For instance, that clumping you thought was so awful in high school. You say that you even dreaded to walk into class, that you gave up an education because of a clump, which, as far as I know, is practically non-existent. You know, magnified thousands of times by your imagination. Do you know what my strong advice to you is? Think of yourself as superior in some way.
In what way would I think?
Why, man alive, Laura, just look around you a little. What do you see? A world full of common people, all of them born, all of them going to die. Which one of them has 1/10 of your good points? Or mine, or anyone else's as far as that goes? Gosh, I mean, everybody excels in some one thing, some in many. All you've got to do is discover in what. Hey, take me for instance. My interest happens to lie in electrodynamics. I'm taking a course in radio engineering at night school, Laura, on top of a fairly responsible job at the warehouse. I'm taking that course and I'm studying public speaking.
Oh.
Because I believe in the future of television. I wish to be ready to go right along with it. Therefore, I'm planning to get in on the ground floor. In fact, I've already made the right connections, and all that remains is for the industry itself to get underway. Full steam, knowledge tip, money tip, power. That's the cycle democracy is built on. I guess you think I think a lot of myself.
No, oh,
Well,
I...
now how about you? Isn't there anything you take more interest in than anything else?
Well, I do, as I said, have my glass collection.
I'm not right sure I know what you're talking about. What kind of glass is it?
Little articles of it. They're ornaments mostly. Tiniest little animals in the world. Mother calls them a glass menagerie. Here's an example of one, if you'd like to see it. This one is one of the oldest. It's nearly 13. Oh, be careful. If you breathe, it breaks.
Oh, well, I better not. I'm pretty clumsy with things.
Go on. I trust you with him. There now. You're holding him gently. Hold him over the light. He loves the light. You see how the light shines through him?
Well, he sure does shine.
I shouldn't be partial, but he's my favorite one.
What kind of thing is this one supposed to be?
Haven't you noticed the single horn on his forehead?
Unicorn, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, unicorns. Aren't they extinct in the modern world?
I know.
Poor little fellow. He must feel sort of lonesome.
Well, if he does, he doesn't complain about it. He stays on a shelf with some other horses that don't have horns. And they all seem to get along nicely together.
How do you know?
I haven't heard any arguments among them.
No arguments, huh? Well, that's a pretty good sign. Where shall I set him?
Put him on the table over there. They all like a change of scenery once in a while.
Well. Look how big my shadow is when I stretch.
Oh yes, it stretches across the ceiling.
I think it stopped raining. Where's that music coming from?
From the Paradise Dance Hall, across the alley.
Well, how about cutting the rug a little, Miss Wingfield?
Oh,
Where's your program filled up? Let me have a look at it. Why, every dance is taken. Well, I'll just have to scratch some out. Oh, waltz.
I can't dance.
See, there you go again, that inferiority stuff.
I've never danced in my life.
Come on, try.
Oh, but I'd step on you.
I'm not made out of flats.
How do we start?
Just leave it to me. Hold her arms out a little.
Like this?
A little bit higher. Right. Now don't tighten up. That's the main thing about it. Relax.
It's hard not to.
Okay.
I'm afraid you can't budge me.
You bet I can't.
Yes, you can.
Just let yourself go now, Laura. Just let yourself go.
I'm
Come on.
trying.
Not so stiff. Easy does it.
I know, but I'm...
Loosen the backbone. There now. It's a lot better.
What?
Lots better.
My goodness. Yes, you can.
What do we hit on?
Table.
Oh, did something fall off it?
Yes.
Or was it the bus?
Yes. Now it's just like all the other ones.
It's lost its.
Horn. It doesn't matter. Maybe it's a blessing in disguise.
You'll never forgive me. I bet that was your favorite piece of glass.
I don't have favorites much. It's no tragedy, Freckles. Glass breaks so easily, no matter how careful you are. The traffic jars the shelves and things fall off of them.
Still, I'm awfully sorry that I was the cause.
Oh, just imagine that he had an operation. He had the horn removed to make him feel less freakish. Now he'll feel more at home with the other horses, the ones that don't have horns.
You know, that's very funny. I'm glad to see you have a sense of humor. You know, you're, well, very different. Surprisingly different from anyone else I know. Do you mind me telling you that? You make me feel sort of, I don't know how to put it. I'm usually pretty good at expressing things, but this is something I don't know how to say. Has anyone ever told you that you were pretty? Well, you are, and in a very different way from anyone else. And all the nicer because of that difference, too. I wish that you were my sister. I would teach you to have some confidence that the different people are not like other people. But being different is nothing to be ashamed of. Because other people are not such wonderful people. They're 100 times 1,000. They're 1 times 1. They walk all over the earth, but you stay here. They're common as weeds, but you, well, you're blue roses.
The blue is wrong for roses.
It's right for you, though. You're pretty. Your eyes, your hair are pretty. Your hands are pretty. You think I'm making this up because I was invited to dinner and I have to be nice. Oh, I could do that, Laura. I could put on that act for you and say lots of things without being very sincere. But this time I am. I'm talking to you sincerely. I happen to notice that you have this inferiority complex. It keeps you from feeling uncomfortable with people. Somebody needs to build your confidence up and make you proud instead of shy and turning away and blushing. Somebody ought to kiss you, Lord. I shouldn't have done that. That was way off beat. You don't smoke, do you? Would you care for a mint? Peppermint, lifesaver. My pocket's a regular drugstore wherever I go. Laura, you know, if I had a sister like you, I'd do the same thing as Tom. I'd bring out fellows, introduce her to them. You know, the right type of fellows, of a type to appreciate her. Only, well, he made a mistake about me. Maybe I've got no call to be saying this. This may not have been the idea in having me over. But what if it was? There's nothing wrong about that. The only trouble is, well, I'm not in a situation to do the right thing. I can't take down your number and say I'll phone. I can't call you up next week and ask for a date. I thought I had better explain the situation in case you misunderstood it and hurt your feelings.
You won't call again?
No, Laura. I can't. As I was just explaining, I've got strings on me, Laura. I've been doing steady. I go out all the time with a girl named Betty. She's a home girl like you. Catholic, Irish, and in a great many ways, we get along fine. I met her last summer on the moonlit boat trip up the river to Alton, on the Majestic. Well, right away from the start, it was love. Being in love has made a new man of me. The power of love is really pretty tremendous. Love is something that changes the whole world, Laura. It happened that Betty's aunt took sick, and she got a wire and had to go to Centralia. So Tom, when he asked me to dinner, I naturally just accepted the invitation, not knowing that I would. I am stumped. I wish that you would say something. What are you doing that for? You want me to have one, Laura? What for?
Souvenir.
After Jim left, I got into a terrible argument with my mother. Laura was quietly lost in the shadows. I left afterwards. I didn't go to the moon, I went much further, for time is the longest distance between places. Not long after that, I was fired for writing a poem on the lid of a shoebox. I left St. Louis. I descended the step of this fire escape for the last time and followed from then on in my father's footsteps, attempting to find in motion what was lost in space. I traveled around a great deal. The city swept about me like dead leaves, leaves that were brightly colored but torn away from the branches. I would have stopped, but I was pursued by something. It always came upon me unawares, taking me altogether by surprise. Perhaps it was a familiar bit of music. Perhaps it was a piece of transparent glass. Perhaps I am walking along the street at night in some strange city before I found companions. I passed the lidded window of a shop where perfume is sold. The window is filled with pieces of colored glass, tiny transparent bottles in delicate colors. Then all at once my sister touches my shoulder. I turn around and look into her eyes. Well, Laura, I tried to leave you behind me, but I am more faithful than I intended to be. I reach for a cigarette. I cross the street. I run into the movies or a bar. I buy a drink. Speak to the nearest stranger. Anything that could blow your candles out. For nowadays, the world is lit by lightning. Blow out your candles, Laura. And so, goodbye.